Right now, a NASCAR team is literally checking gas station prices before they drive their trucks to the next race. Let that hit you for a second. Not race fuel, not track expenses, regular diesel at a gas station, shopping around for the cheapest price in town, just like you and me. That is how bad things have gotten. And honestly, this is a story that goes way beyond NASCAR. Before we get into it, welcome to NASCAR Hub. Hit that like button and subscribe. We are pushing hard for 1,000 subscribers, and if you love real, honest NASCAR talk every single week, you are exactly where you need to be. Let's get into it. So here is what is happening. The war between the United States and Iran has sent fuel prices through the roof. As of March 31st, the national average price for diesel fuel in America crossed $5.40 a gallon. $5.40. Now think about that for a second. NASCAR teams do not show up to the track in a minivan. They drive massive haulers across the country, carrying race cars, parts, tools, equipment, all of it. And every single mile of that journey runs on diesel, a whole lot of diesel. And right now, every single gallon is burning a hole in their wallets. Now, after President Trump gave a national address on Wednesday, prices did come down a tiny bit. But here's the thing, the damage was already done. Teams have been dealing with these sky-high costs for weeks, and for one team in particular, it has become a very real problem. That team is Colig Racing. Chris Rice is the president of Colig Racing. He went on Sirius XM NASCAR radio on Thursday, and he was completely open about what his team has been going through. No sugarcoating, no spin, just straight honesty. Rice said it has been big, and then he pulled back the curtain in a way that honestly surprised a lot of people. He said back in January, they were spending a massive amount of money just on travel fuel, not race fuel, travel fuel, moving parts from one place to another, picking things up, dropping things off, the everyday stuff that keeps a race team running, and all of that takes diesel. So what did they do? They created a group text. Seriously, Rice said the team now has something called the Traveling Group Text for Colig Racing, and the whole point of it is to plan their trips smarter. If they can wait one extra day and pick up more stuff in a single run instead of making two separate trips, they will do that every single time, combining runs, being smart about every mile they drive. But it doesn't stop there. Rice said he personally went to their hauler drivers, the guys behind the wheel of the big rigs carrying the race cars, and told them to keep an eye on fuel prices. He even gave them a very specific example. Since they were only going to Rockingham for the next race, did they really need to fill the hauler all the way up? Maybe they could save some money by not topping it off completely. Think about that. The president of a NASCAR team is telling his drivers not to fill up the tank all the way. That is how tight things are right now. Rice also said the team is watching fuel prices every single day, hoping they come down. And they're actually out there looking for gas stations to sell diesel a little bit cheaper, shopping around for the best price, just like you do when you're trying to save a few bucks on your way to work. And here's the quote that really sums it all up. Rice said, "Every dollar matters with us. Every dollar. Not every thousand, not every hundred, every single dollar." Now, to understand why this is hitting Colig so hard, you need to know what they're dealing with this year, because this is not a small team. They run 2 full-time cars in the NASCAR Cup Series. That's the top level of the sport. Serious operation. But this year, they took on something brand new. They jumped into the Truck Series with not 1, not 2, 5 trucks. 5. And it gets even bigger than that. Colig Racing is the anchor team behind Ram's return to the Truck Series in 2026. So they're not just running trucks, they're carrying an entire manufacturer comeback on their shoulders. That's a massive amount of pressure and a massive amount of responsibility. But here's the catch. This is their very first year running a Truck Series program. That means no stockpile of parts sitting in the shop, no years of data telling them exactly what they need and how much it costs. They're building everything from scratch, and that already makes their budget higher than teams that have been doing this for years. Rice was honest about it, said it's all costing more than they expected. And then he mentioned something that really shows you how carefully they're watching every penny. He said their COO, Ty Norris, tells him all the time he's never seen someone like Rice keeping track of every spoon and fork they buy. Every spoon and fork. That's not a figure of speech about race parts. That's Rice saying he's watching every tiny expense down to the absolute smallest things. And then the fuel prices came along and made everything worse. Rice said the fuel prices have put a huge hit into their budget. He didn't try to make it sound okay. He just said it straight. It is what it is. And on top of the fuel crisis, they've torn up more fenders this year than they planned for. So it's one thing after another. Now there is one small piece of good news for Colig this week. The schedule actually works in their favor for once. The Cup Series is off for Easter. That saves some travel money right there. And the Truck Series race on Friday is at Rockingham Stadium, which is just over an hour from the Colig Racing shop in Lexington, North Carolina. So for this 1 week, they don't have to drive their haulers across the country. They basically just go down the road. But that's just 1 week. After that, the haulers hit the road again. The diesel bills pile back up, and the budget gets squeezed all over again. And here's what really makes you stop and think. If Colig Racing, a team with Cup Series money, a manufacturer deal with Ram, and a president who watches every single penny, is struggling this much with fuel prices, what about the smaller teams? What about the guys running one truck on a tiny budget with no big sponsor? If Colig is creating group texts and shopping around for cheaper gas stations, those smaller teams must be in real trouble right now. The war with Iran is not just something happening on the news, it's reaching into the garage. It's changing how NASCAR teams plan their entire week. It's making presidents of race teams tell their drivers not to fill up the tank. And it's putting real financial stress on a sport that already runs on razor-thin margins. The thing people forget is that NASCAR is not just about what happens on the track on Sunday. There's a massive operation behind every single race. Cars need to get there, parts need to get there, people need to get there, and all of that costs fuel. When diesel is over $5 a gallon, those costs add up incredibly fast. We're talking about teams traveling to over 30 races a year, sometimes driving their haulers thousands of miles in a single week. This is the reality of NASCAR in 2026. Fuel prices are not just a number on a sign at the gas station. For teams like Colig Racing, they're the difference between staying on budget and going into the red. And right now, every single dollar, every single gallon counts. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think rising fuel prices are going to start forcing smaller NASCAR teams out of the sport? And did you ever think this is something we'd be talking about in NASCAR? Drop it in the comments. Let's talk about it. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button and subscribe to NASCAR Hub. We're just getting started and we want you along for every lap. Thanks for watching. See you soon.